So today we're going to talk about Millennium Fiendsmith Crystron, which is actually a deck that I've been playing when Crystrons just came out in Master Duel. It is something that you can only play pretty much in Master Duel and not in the TCG because Moon of the Closed Heaven is banned in the TCG. And this is basically a more combo heavy version of Crystrons, where it's kinda like Snake Eyes Fiendsmith, except you have a better line into Fualos by just doing the Crystron combo and just have a quick synchro and a trap setup even if you get hit. And the deck has actually gotten a slight nerf just by a Golem being randomly hit to 1 a while ago, but it is now back to unlimited, so I guess it is time to bring this deck back. I have made a little bit of changes since I last played this deck. I also have uploaded like a version of this deck in Master Duel meta, like a year ago I think. It's like a pretty long time ago, and the deck is pretty decent. Like, it's not going to be better than any of the meta decks. It's not better than like Snake Eyes Fiendsmith back when that was meta, but it is still a really competent deck. And when you do the combo is really good. And I'll show a replay of me actually doing the quote-unquote one-card combo later on in this video. So the whole idea of this deck is that you use the Millennium stuff, which a lot of people are already playing this engine in pure Crystrons just because it makes zombie vampire, and that helps you do your combo because Crystrons are a bit inconsistent without another engine. And also the Millennium stuff are just good at breaking boards themselves because you can make Snake Eyes Doom Dragon to push monsters back into the back row, and then you can make potentially a rank 8 that has a removal effect, and you can just punch your opponent with really big Millennium monsters as a way to break boards. But if we are also playing the small Fiendsmith package that we are playing with only 1 Lacrima and 1 Engraver, that's kinda like the bricks. We're not even playing Tract or Lurry. Just by playing this little package, you can bridge into Fiendsmith by making Moon and then just doing the whole Fiendsmith line, and then after you make Caesar, you can, or sometimes SP as well, you can also just do the whole Crystron line afterwards and then machine lock yourselves after you already do the Fiendsmith combo. It's kinda like Fiendsmith Ryziel, where you do the Fiendsmith combo first using 2 monsters, and then you do the other combo later, which will actually lock you from doing the Fiendsmith combo. So by playing these 2 Fiendsmith main deck monsters, you don't even need the Millennium cards to do the Fiendsmith line. If you open with Smyger or Inclusion or Foolish Burial plus any other Crystron name, basically you can do both the Crystron line and the Fiendsmith line, which is not possible in the TCG because Moon is banned, but it is possible here in Master Duel. And as a result, even though the ceiling of this version is a lot higher than the pure version, which I still like more than this version, the main weakness is that it is a lot weaker to certain hand traps. Like Duel is kind of fine because Crystrons play around Duel pretty well already, and if you get Dueled by, if you start with Millennium and then you get Dueled, you can still put 2 monsters on the field and then still do full Fiendsmith combo and just not have the extra Crystron combo right next to it, but you can still end on Caesar and a lot of times SP as well. And but the main problem is Fualos, and because you're playing all of the Fiendsmith stuff, you play a lot into Fualos, and the Millennium engine also plays pretty badly into Fualos itself because you make Doom Dragon, which is an extra deck monster, and then you make Zombie Vampire, which is another extra deck monster. You're giving your opponent 2 Fualos draws just to have the gamble of if the Zombie Vampire gets negated by Ash or Valor or Imperm. So not a very good deal into Fualos. That's why we are playing the 3 Ash Blossoms, the Called By, the Cross Out, and also sometimes you can draw yourself to stop your opponent from drawing, depending on the hand that you have. Sometimes you can draw yourself, sometimes you couldn't, but these are the outs that we are playing to combat Fualos, and I guess Maxi as well, but that is basically the main issue. The other thing is that this deck is just not very good in this meta just because it is a hand trap deck, and Crystron doesn't really care about hand traps that much. It is better than pure Crystrons into Crystron just because you can still do the Fiendsmith line while you get floodgated by RS or B2B because they increase your monster's levels, and that kind of screws up the normal Crystron line. So, you know, you can still do some combos under the Floodgate, but you still couldn't make Zombie Vampire, you still couldn't make the Rank 6 or do any of the Crystron Synchros, but it's still at least something you can still do under the Floodgate. So if you want to have a better Crystron matchup, you probably want to play a more board breaker version of Crystron. Maybe I have been experimenting with a version of Crystrons playing Radiant Typhoon as the other engine, and then playing a whole bunch of quick play spells like Droplet and Super Poly to specifically counter the Crystron matchup. So if that's something that you are concerned about, that is a version of the deck that I would recommend playing. So with that said, let's actually have a look at like the main combo of this deck. So now we have a replay of me playing the deck going first, and this basically shows you what the deck is doing as like the main combo. So we open with 3 Senk Engine, which is pretty funny, but 1 is enough to do the combo. I guess 1 Millennium monster plus any other monster in the hand will do the full combo. So what you're doing is you summon the 2 Millenniums, you do the typical Millennium combo, which is to summon the Millenniums plus Doom Dragon, and then you make Zombie Vampire to hope you hit one of the 9, I think 9 or 8 Crystron cards. So there are a few Crystron monsters that will allow you to bridge from Millennium to Crystrons. You can either hit Tristaros, or Smiger, or Salvador. So Smiger is pretty straightforward because that is just a 1-card combo. If you hit Salvador, you can summon it with Zombie Vampire, and then that will trigger the effect and then send 2 Crystron cards, and that's also a full combo. The interesting part is if you mill Tristaros, what you do is you summon Tristaros, and then you make the XL Synchro Stardust Dragon, which is why we are playing this card. And then this brings back the Tristaros, which you can link away for Moon. And then you do the whole Fiendsmith combo by linking away Zombie Vampire and Tristaros, and then you leave the XL Synchro Stardust Dragon on the field. So this will be on the field the entire time you do the Fiendsmith combo. Once you're done, you then banish Tristaros from the graveyard to destroy your XL Synchro Stardust Dragon, and then summon 2 Crystron monsters from your deck. And then that's how you bridge into the Crystron part of the combo. But out of all of the Crystron monsters, Crystron Salvador is the best one because it gives you a free body, it bridges into full Crystron combo, and doesn't use your normal summon. So we'll use it to send Smiger plus Inclusion, and then we can just do the full Fiendsmith combo. So we can link off the Zombie Vampire plus the Millennium, and because we milled Lacrima off of Zombie Vampire, we are doing a slightly awkward line and not doing like the typical Fiendsmith combo. We are going to summon Engraver instead of Lacrima using Requiem, but basically you still get to the same end board, but you just sequence things a bit differently to make sure that you use Engraver's effect to revive itself first before you shuffle it back with Sequence. So we'll go with Sequence, shuffle 2 of them back, make Lacrima, revive back the Engraver, and then now we can make a copy of Wave Hacking Caesar with the SP on field as well. So if you want, you can maybe replace one of the extra deck cards, maybe like Desiree, with something like an IP, so this will be an IP instead of an SP, and that is slightly better as an end board piece, but to be honest, this end board is already good enough to win most of your games anyway, so no reason to play more cards in your extra deck. So because we hit Salvador with the Zombie Vampire, we can do the full Crystron combo plus the full Fiendsmith combo while just having a random sequence on the field that doesn't do anything. So usually you will link this off for SP, but because we have a random extra body on field, we can link those off instead. So our opponent will droplet our entire board, which shuts off 4 of our interruptions. So Tristaros can transform into a Dawn Drexer to negate a spell trap, but that gets negated as well. So we still have Cluster, which he cannot play through because if he normal summons, I just pop his normal summon. And this is also where the hand traps come in, because even if they do something like that, Droplet, send the entire hand, negate our whole field, we still have the Ash and Droll to negate whatever our opponent has left. So the hand traps are also a really important part of the deck as well. So yeah, that's basically it for the combos. It is a more combo heavy approach of Crystron's if you like that playstyle. I definitely recommend checking this version out if you are interested. So thanks for watching, goodbye.